By the end of 2024, Taylor Swift's Eras Tour had become the best-selling tour ever, selling a casual $2 billion on her way to taking over the world, and apparently the tour was so nuts, so bonkers, that it caused seismic activity. But in 2022, one man topped Taylor Swift, who was actually number 3 that year, as well as K-pop boy band BTS, who was number 2, to have the best-selling album of the year, and that was Taiwanese pop star Jay Chou. And if you have any ties to Asia, if you speak Mandarin, or if you are from Taiwan, which I am, that's where I was born, it is impossible to not know who this person is, or to be aware of his name, or to know what he looks like, because he is huge in that part of the world. And like many other musicians, he's got his own brand, Fantasy, who's done past sneaker collaborations before, and this time they have teamed up with Nike to come out with a shoe that is inspired by a wooden guitar, and it is beautiful. Fantasy Nike MX95 String of Dreams. And the shoe originally dropped on October 18th, first in Fantasy Shanghai, and then it dropped in like Kith Tokyo, but they only dropped in Asia so far. I don't know if there's going to be like a wider global release. There is also a friends and family version of this shoe where the tongue is tan colored and the gradient on the side is light to dark instead of the other way around. And instead of AMX branding, Jay Chou's name is actually on the tongue itself. And of course, this is not the first time Fantasy has worked on a sneaker. They had the Question Lows a few years ago. They also had the MX1 Grand Piano. I believe that first dropped in 2009. And I think it came back either last year or the year before that. And then you have this, the MX95, originally designed by Sergio Lozano. And the design of the shoe was inspired by the human anatomy. So the lacing system was actually inspired by human ribs. And the outsole inspired by spine. And the original mesh and suede was inspired by muscle fibers. And it has become one of the more iconic Nike shoes over time. It's been referenced in a few different rap songs, but this time they are collaborating with a pop star, Jay Chou, and his brand Fantasy. And first impressions of the shoe, I love it. I'm not like a huge Air Max 95 guy. Air Max 1s are my favorite Air Maxes, and then it's probably the Air Max 90s. Just the shape of those I like a bit more. But when I first saw images of the shoe, it is just so unique, so different. Yeah, I really wanted these. The storytelling is just so well done. And as someone that is getting older, for whatever reason, as you age, you just like brown more. So this wooden aesthetic just really speaks to me. And the materials on the shoe, whatever you kind of think of when you think of an Air Max 95, you can forget about it because they did quite a few changes to this. So you get this usual gradient pattern. It is all suede and it's meant to mimic the aesthetics of wood. I won't say the suede is like anything premium or anything. It feels kind of buffed down, doesn't feel too like velvet or plush. So it's not like the highest quality, but I do think in terms of storytelling and what they're trying to do, it just looks and fits the shoe really well. And of course, you will see these strings that is meant to mimic the strings of a guitar. And these strings replaces the usual MX95 eyelet loops. I think that is such a creative way to get your storytelling across and the theme of the shoe across. Yeah. Love that. It is not for everybody. It can look kind of weird, but it is just so unique. Now, one thing that I'm kind of wary about is how flimsy these strings could be. Like if they're gonna snap if you wear this shoe often and you beat it up. And you might have noticed that I am wearing shorts in this B-roll. And speaking of shorts, even though we're heading into the winter season in the United States, you might have the heat turned on unless you live in the West Coast where it's just always beautiful, warm weather. But if you do, it might feel a little toasty inside, so you might want to switch to shorts indoors. And thankfully, Kinetic Kings have sent me a few pairs of shorts as just come in super clutch. So all their shorts come with these very bold designs, which is rare to see. Usually people will wear like these plain colored shorts, but if you want something a little bit different, and if you want something of good quality, which I stress, I was maybe a little skeptical. I was like, they're probably just like $40 shorts that you would find in like a TJ Maxx or something, but you get them in hand and it's thick. You can feel the weight of it. It is not like light, hot trash. And what I love is that they actually stitched their branding on there as well. It's not printed, so it won't come off in the wash. And this pair that I have, it is Japanese style. You can see a dragon and a tiger, and it fits me perfectly because I do have an entire sleeve where it is a tiger and a dragon. So I'm not like wearing these and lying to you about the type of artwork I like. I literally have it tattooed on my body. So go to the link in the description below. I'm going to link it here as well. Use the code SI20, get 20% off. You need these. Good quality, good design, makes you look good. The booty tab here, where it's Nike branding, it is just leather. And the tongue itself is also leather. And all the way at the top of the tongue, you will see Air Max branding like its own piece. And that has this kind of iridescent look to it. And you also see on the left side, there is more of that wood grain aesthetic. And really nice wood can oftentimes be associated with like luxury or something of premium quality. So when it's put onto a shoe and it's put in a well thought out manner, yeah, I really think it elevates the shoe overall. And in terms of laces, just comes with these white laces out of the box, no extra laces. And I don't think you really need any, because it would be kind of annoying in my thought and my imagination to change the laces on this shoe. I think white laces fits this shoe really well. So just white laces it is. And in terms of cushioning, the Air Max 95 comes with a foam midsole with, of course, you can see visible Max Air units. So you have it in the forefoot as well as the heel of the shoe. Now, throughout the years since the Air Max 95 has dropped, Nike has steadily been kind of shrinking the bubble on the Air Max 95s. And I believe that's because they switched the air inside to nitrogen. So before it was something else, I'll put the name here, but they changed it to nitrogen, and apparently the nitrogen doesn't really work well with a bigger type of bubble. So they started shrinking it a bit. This looks to be the original size of the 95s, and the midsole itself, I love it. Look at it. There is more of that wood grain pattern, extends the storytelling, but it's subtle. It is not like in your face. It doesn't rely on just like fantasy branding and just changing the tongue, changing the booty. The overall storytelling is absolutely the point of the shoe. And in terms of the outsole, rubber outsole with the waffle pattern up here. And in the cutout, you will see custom branding here. So fantasy. So unlike the like OG 95 neons where it has the PSI figures going up, this doesn't. Just fantasy here. That's the only part where you will see fantasy branding on the shoe. And the insole of the shoe sticking to the wood brown. The only drawback is the quality is hot doo-doo. And the box of the shoe, very on theme. This wood-like box. Paper inside is just regular brown paper. And this shoe also comes with this guitar pick with Nike Air branding on one side, fantasy on the other. And in terms of sizing comfort, I am a wide and flat footer for Air Max 95s. I generally stick true to size. It actually fits me pretty well. Lengthwise, widthwise, no real complaints. It's also a pretty comfortable shoe, so it's not super flat to the ground, especially in the heel area where it's pretty stacked. So if you're used to like Jordan 1s or Nike Dunks, you might feel a little bit taller than you usually stand or sit. But the cushioning, even though it's an old shoe, I think it still really holds up. It is decently responsive. It is not the lightest shoe, so keep that in mind if weight is a priority. But everything else about it, I think you can walk in this all day, no problems at all. And that brings the total sole score of the Fantasy Air Max 95 to 39 out of 50. Pretty good score compared to other collaborations. Now, first, it is colorway. I really like it. I can't say it is like legendary. I can't say it's 3 Michelin star rated delicious, but I might give it 1 Michelin star rated delicious because this wooden aesthetic, this brown, different shades of brown just really suits me, really appeals to me. And in terms of the materials, probably the biggest drawback in terms of this shoe, the suede isn't like the most premium. The leather isn't anything super great, so don't expect the best materials here. In terms of overall comfort, I think generally most Air Maxes are decently comfortable. The cushioning, even though it is using pretty old technology by now, I think it holds up pretty well. The only real drawback is the weight of the shoes. Old shoes generally are a bit heavier, but overall you can walk around in these and I don't think your feet's gonna hate you. And in terms of the versatility, I think the Air Max 95s, even though they still look, in my opinion anyway, in terms of the silhouette, kind of like an athletic looking shoe, but it has absolutely made its way into mainstream culture. So I think it's a pretty versatile silhouette in terms of the wearability of the colorway. The strings here may be a little bit too much, but I don't think it is so bold where it becomes unwearable. And in terms of storytelling, absolutely my favorite part about this collaboration. And what I love is it doesn't just rely on a ton of branding all over the place to get the story across. The choice of materials, the subtle grain on the midsole here with the grain on the tongue as well. But the only branding shown in the outsole, it still absolutely gets the story across without it being like in your face. And it does come with a custom branded box. Not as good as like the friends and family promo version of the shoe, but At least it's custom, and at least it fits into the rest of the storytelling of this shoe. In today's throwback of the day, it is another MX95. It is a throwback, but I don't think it's a good type of throwback. It is the MX95 Zenvetti boot. This thing is, I don't get it. They seem to just be absurd as possible, and that's like the whole point, which I just don't understand. Look at this thing. It is redonkulous. I don't know who's actually wearing this like out, who like genuinely thinks this is a great looking shoe, but hey, to each their own. This is just my opinion. Maybe someone that just is in love with MX95s and can't get enough of it, literally needs it to cover half their leg. This one is out there for you. I remember the first time I returned to Taiwan, where I was born. I left Taiwan at a very young age, but I was back on vacation and my cousin put in a CD, and it was a Jay Chou CD. I had no idea who he was, never heard the music before, but what I did notice was the music was different, very different from any other kind of Eastern music at the time. It took a lot of influence and ideas and inspiration from Western music, and I was like, he's doing something different in that part of the world, but he still kept a lot of his Eastern identity in his music. So he kind of blended the two, and it's kind of crazy to think after all those years, he is still very relevant in that part of the world anyway. And if he ever can't make it in music no more, I think he's doing a pretty good job with sneakers. So that's it. Thanks for watching. So inclined. Let me know what you think of the Fantasy MX95 String of Dreams. Like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. And remember, tomorrow may never come. So wear your shoes.